What's up, crew? Well, in my opinion,
Boy, what the hell, boy? You need to ask yourself, why aren't you? Kind of controversial, but I don't think we should. I just broke down crying. You're listening to Free to Grow with Jerome Mbaga. New episode every Tuesday. Hey crew, you're listening to episode 24, Friendship Breakups. I think you're really going to like this episode because I think as summer rolls around, this is a topic that a lot of people should invest more time into. As the weather gets better, there are more plans you want to do, and all of a sudden different people come back popping up in your life, or maybe they're still in your life and you want a bit of change, but you just don't know how. This is a topic. One, it's just been on my mind a lot recently because I've come back from a full year of a ton of growth at university, and now I'm hanging out with friends that I'm like, I had a whole year people I met at university because I pretty much knew no one going to my uni or like anyone I was close with. And now I'm coming back and there's this whole set of friends who just missed out like a whole year of growth that I had, and it's putting me in a bit of a odd position, a position to think about some stuff. But in general, it's a topic that I think is under-discussed because when it comes to romantic relationships, there's a clear set out for breaking up a relationship. You have to have like a whole conversation about it, or maybe the conversation won't go well. Maybe it'll be a lot of screaming, but at least there's okay, I have to go break up with this person now. I have to go have this conversation. However, with friendships, a lot of the time, it's not that way. Sometimes it can be a really big fight. Sometimes it can be a civilized conversation. But a lot of the times, friendships take an extremely long time to come to an end. And there's usually a very long period of plans that were scheduled getting canceled and then never getting scheduled again. Texting people and seeing red receipts but not getting a message back. Making plans and wanting to invite one person but not the other. And there's just so much drama that comes with it. And it can be really messy for everyone involved. So I was like, you know what? Let me make an episode about this. So I hope you'll enjoy it. So first off, I wanted to talk about one, I think we really need to start off by recognizing how important, valuable, and beautiful friendships are. I was talking to this one friend earlier in the year, and she was giving me her opinion, and she was saying that I think friendships are just as important as romantic relationships. And now obviously you're like, yeah, obviously friends are important, but no, deeper than that. They're as serious as romantic relationships, and they're as, what's it called? You should be investing the same amount of energy into your friendships throughout the entire span of your life. Maybe there'll be different periods where you give some, take some, but what would life be without friends? Friends are essentially what we all want from relationships, right? That kind of unspoken but constant understanding with a person where it's like, all right, this person likes me. They want to be around with me and they have my best interest in mind. That's kind of like the basis of like any relationship you want in anything, a workplace relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, anything, that's kind of what you want at the end of the day. And so sometimes it's really hard to get that from a romantic relationship because in a romantic relationship, there's a ton of pressure on you. Things that society says that, oh, you need to do this for your relationship to work out, or the 3-month rule, or, like you really, there's a lot of pressure to show up for your partner in that sense. It's also a bit different because I feel like as we grow older and older, or I guess just as time moves on, as we get older, romantic relationships have become a lot more temporary, so you're kind of hesitant to invest yourself fully into them, right? But when it comes to friendships, they're beautiful because you have these people who hopefully see you as who you are, and they can recognize the faults in you. You can be like, wow, this person sometimes can be a little bit arrogant, and maybe they'll be to you, maybe this person, maybe they lie sometimes, maybe they're bad at making plans. Maybe they're, you guys can see your faults in each other. You don't have to have a gigantic conversation about it, but you can see your faults into each other, but you can still say, I want to be friends with this person. They make me feel happy. I like hanging out with them. I can go skydiving with them. I can scroll on TikTok to not talking to each other on the couch for a couple of minutes. it's amazing. It's like kind of, I guess, all the benefits you'd want from a full relationship, but there's just a lot less pressure on everything. Most of the time. It depends how you structure your relationship, but most of the time there's a lot less pressure on anything, and it's honestly beautiful. Me personally, with my experience, with my year at Dalhousie University, I met so many people where I'm like, wow, I want to be friends with you for the rest of my life. And I know that there are going to be gaps in that friendship, like maybe I'll go a couple years without talking to them here and there or something. But it would be so cool to be like 80 years old and be like, oh yeah, I went to college with these guys. Like, that's awesome. That's just like a really, really awesome feeling. And I hope you experience that too. Because not talking to someone for a couple months and then hanging out with them again and it just clicks like that is actually one of the best feelings ever. You know, you don't talk for months, but you can pick up off each other's sentences just like that off the first hangout, and it's actually beautiful. So acknowledging the benefits of real relationships that are long lasting and awesome, before we can talk about going through a friendship breakup, we need to also recognize some things that are just absolute deal breakers for you. So for me personally, I'll say my own, and then maybe you'll agree with some of these, maybe you won't. That's okay, because at the end of the day, it's your relationships that you're going to be making with people. So you're the only one that needs to understand it, as long as you actually understand it. You know, don't pretend and be like, oh no, it's fine. Like, that, my friend did this to me, but like, I don't care. But like, you do actually care. You know what I mean? So for me, what I'll say is, one thing from my friends that I just is a deal breaker for me is extreme and unexplained one-sidedness. So what this looks like is, if I'm the person that's always reaching out to plan a hangout, if I'm the person that, it's not even I reach out to plan the hangout, but I also do all the planning in general, and then when the plan is going through, I'm like the only one, like, I don't know, maybe staying positive during it and like actually carrying it forward, that's too much. That's not what I signed up for. I did not sign up for that. However, if my friend tells me, hey, I'm like not in like the best state ever right now, so to be completely honest, I might not be the best friend. I might be like canceling plans here and there, or hey, I'm like really swamped at work. I would love to make plans out with you, but frankly speaking, I might cancel here and there. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I just need to understand what's going on, so don't feel left in the dark. And personally, I'm a person that's comfortable with confrontation. So like, if I'm wondering what's going on with my friend, I'll just walk up to them and ask them. But and so that's been really healthy for me. And I make it very clear to my friends where I stand with them. I like, when I meet someone for the first time, if I really vibe with them, I'll be like, hey, I think you're really cool and I want to be closer friends with you. That's how I carry out my friendships. You know, like, I don't like to leave people guessing, but that's just the way I carry it. That was a bit of a ramble. Oh my God. Other thing is competition disguised as support. Don't get me wrong. I love friends that push me to be a better person. I love friends that are smarter than me, that are better at the sport I play, volleyball, are better than me at that are like, just think in such a different way from me, that like can challenge my viewpoints. I love it all. I love it all. Don't get me wrong, because that's just us like bouncing our ideas and skills off each other and growing together. That's awesome. But it's different if I were to be like, hey, I got A on the last test. And let's just say they're not even taking the class in general. If I sort of feel that I'm getting some sort of like animosity through that, or just some like hidden jealousy, or if I say, hey, I got an A on my last test, and they're like, why the hell do you need to say that? Like, who cares, whatever. And it's because maybe they didn't do so well on the test. Now, obviously, it's on me to be a good friend and not like rub it in. But personally, what I want from my friendships is where we both celebrate each other. We can both cheer each other on, keep each other accountable. And yeah, that's what I love from it. Second is just betrayal, I guess. Obviously, that could show up in so many ways, whether, that can show up in infinite ways. For me, I guess, how it shows up in my friendships is I'm very clear to my friends on where I stand with them and what I like. So I feel like if I were to be like, hey man, the way you like made fun of me in front of all these like new friends we were making wasn't really cool. I didn't appreciate that. I understand you were just like going with a joke and that's fine. But I just want to let you know, I don't really appreciate that. And then they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Totally understand. And I have that feeling that we're on the same page. You know, like I have that feeling of like, oh wow, I connected with this person. We got on the same page. I communicated my ideas clearly. I made sure that like I communicated it politely so I could hear their response too. And I still, and they go repeat the same thing the next day. That's something that I don't like, because I think that just comes down to basic respect. You know what I mean? Because I want my friends to be able to tell me, hey, I didn't like that, or hey, don't do that. Or also, there are just some things that shouldn't be done. Like if my friends started like flirting with like my girlfriend or something, like, you know what I mean? Just like obvious stuff that's just like obviously betrayal. Obviously not, but especially if I communicated it and I thought we were on the same page and it was like a nice conversation, and then they go do it again repeatedly and show like no signs of like remorse or like coming back, that's over the line for me. Because I'm not calling them Thanos or the villain of the world, but if I can't trust that you're gonna respect me on a daily, weekly, or like monthly basis, then I'm just not gonna invest my energy or my emotions into being your friend. But hey, I wish the best for you. And then honestly, maybe the most important one, I think this is number 4. I think honestly the most important deal breaker for me is just values. It genuinely just comes down to values. I think, although this is one where people get a little aggressive with their tone, because I've had moments with friends that were either super close with me or maybe just a buddy I had in a class, right? And I've seen them do something, right? And I clock it in my head, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I really like that. I won't jump on it immediately, but if I start to see a trend, because, you know, we all mess up, you know? But if I start to see a trend of just bad values, or not, let me still say bad, because I'm not like a god or anything, but just values I don't agree with, then again, I'm not going to be investing my time and energy and love and support and all that jazz into this friend. I wish them the best. If I think their values are just like morally wrong, then I hope they change. If I think their values are fine, they just don't align with mine, then I wish them the absolute best, and I really hope that they go find a group of people who can share and celebrate those values together. But those values just aren't going to be welcome in my space, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't need to be friends with every single person. I think there's like, what, 8 billion people on the planet? I'm only going to meet like 0.1% of them. And at the end of the day, I want to meet as much people as possible. So I'm personally not going, if I've politely and clearly communicated where I stand, my needs, my boundaries, and all this kind of thing, and I think my values are just and not too like rigid, then I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to keep investing my time in spaces where I don't want to be investing in. It's kind of like, not to turn people into like money per se, but think of it as you're like an investor, right? If you are an avid mountain hiker, right? You're going to go to these companies that sell like jackets and boots and all that kind of stuff. You're going to invest in those companies because, one, it's going to make you a lot of money, but two, you're going to be investing in something that you actually enjoy, right? So let's say you love hiking. You're going to go invest into, let's say, Parks Canada, right? You're going to give them a bunch of money. What this is going to do is, one, it's going to help the company, which is why you're investing. Two, it's going to help the people who use the services of the company, which is also you, because you're also hiking in the Parks of Canada. Get it? Get it? And then 3, it's going to come back and serve you, right? And it's going to give you an environment where you can connect with other people that share your similar interests, right? But hey, if I'm like extremely against, I don't know, the gambling industry, then I'm not going to go take my money and invest it into a gambling company. Okay? Makes sense. Someone else can have the values. They love gambling. They have the money to spare. They think they're doing it safely and, you know, all that jazz. Who am I to judge? You know, I'm not going to go say, hey, you don't invest your money into gambling companies. I'm just going to say, that's fine for you. I hope your investments prosper. I'm not going to be joining you in those. And that's okay. That's okay. Wow, I just spoke very fast, and things that I really wanted to talk about too, so I'm happy I said them. So here's where I kind of want to move on to the main perspectives that I want to talk about, because there's always two perspectives in a friendship breakup, right? There's the one who's trying to get closer, and there's the one who's trying to leave, right? Now, sometimes you can get, well, I guess there's two different variations. You can get one person's trying to get closer, other person's trying to leave, or you can get both people are trying to leave, right? And now if both people are trying to get together, then that's not a friendship breakup, I guess. But we'll talk about that in time. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about it in that order. Yeah. If you've had a friend for some time, right? And maybe you guys are reconnecting after a little bit of time, or maybe you guys are, I don't know, for some reason, something has happened in your friendship that's making you reconsider, right? Whatever it may be. And you think the other person is also making you reconsider. Let's just say, I don't know, something stupid, like a rumor started going around and caused you two to rift out, but you kind of have this feeling that both of you don't really want to let it go, but none of you kind of want to take the first step in kind of rebuilding it, and maybe you just don't know where to start. This is for you, okay? I will say this in all three sections. Honesty is the only thing you have, okay? It's the only thing you have. Because here's how it goes with breakups, especially when both people don't want it to, or if you don't want it to. It feels very humiliating to care. It feels very humiliating to be the first one to come back because you're scared. You're scared to say, hey, I know we had that fight last week, but I don't want to lose you as a friend. How can we move forward? It's scary, especially with, depends on the person you're dealing with, because sometimes that person will laugh in your face, or that person will say, you know what, I don't really want to have that conversation right now. And they won't show any interest on wanting to have that conversation ever. It's scary. It's scary. But the thing is, especially if you have this vague sense of a feeling that both of you guys want to repair the relationship, then honestly, that's the only thing I have to say to you. I could go on for a bunch of other minutes spewing some different points at you on different angles to take it and how to best craft your response. But at the end of the day, honesty is all you have. The only thing you can do is walk up to that person and tell them how you genuinely feel. Tell them maybe you're sorry for something. Tell them that. Tell them, hey, maybe I wasn't the best friend to you then, but I really value you in my life. You make me feel this way, and I don't want to lose that. And maybe I wasn't being the best friend to you, you weren't being the best friend to me, but that doesn't mean we have to lose this friendship. And that there's no easy way around that, frankly speaking. So that leads me to the second scenario, where you're the person trying to keep the friendship alive, and you sense that the other person is trying to leave the friendship. Again, I'll repeat it till it's boring. Honesty is all you have. It's incredibly scary. And the humiliation of reaching out first, the humiliation of being the one to text, being the one to you text to make plans and they're like, oh, I'll see, I'm a little busy that week, but I'll let you know. And the let you know part just never comes. You call them, it rings once, it clicks. You talk to them next, they don't message and say oh, I'm busy or whatever. You just see them next time and you kind of pretend that didn't happen, right? It's hurtful. It's very, very, very hurtful. But at the end of the day, honesty is all you have. But where you can start, where you can start is decentralizing yourself as the problem, But you can only do that once you are sure you're not the problem, Here's an example. I've been in situations before where I felt that there's a person who's trying to get closer to me as a friend. Now, before I say this, so you don't think I'm sounding cocky, I've also many, I say more of the times, been the person reaching out and the other person doesn't want to be my friend. But I'll just say, I've been in situations where I felt that someone is reaching out and wants to be my friend. Now, I'll say off the bat, I'm a pretty outgoing guy. I have a lot of different interests, so I find it easy to connect with different people. I also just like connecting with people with interests that are different from me because I just find it so cool. I get to learn so much and have conversations about topics that I never would. But anyways, this friend was trying to get closer with me. And I wanted to be friends with them. I wanted to be friends with them, and I made that clear. Sometimes we would go out and eat. We would hang out every now and then. However, sometimes I would also have hangouts where it was just me and my close friends, right? And so over time, I started getting the feeling that this person felt that I didn't like them, right? They felt that I didn't like them. But that's just not true. I wanted to be friends with them. I just didn't want to be best friends with them. And my reason for that had nothing to do with them. It's not like there was anything wrong with them per se. It's just their interests were a little too different from me, to the point where I could definitely sit down casually here and there and have conversations, connect, do fun stuff. And we had similar hobbies here and there. But there was a little too many differences for me to hang out with them every single day, for example. You know what I mean? So I definitely wanted to be friends with them. I wanted them to have a great time with me, and I wanted to have a great time with them. I look up to this person. They're great. But I was in a bit of a tricky situation because I just didn't know how to communicate that, right? And so what I'm assuming is this friend probably felt that there was something wrong with them, right? They probably felt that it was their fault that they did something that I didn't like, and they kind of were running ideas through their head on like how to fix it, how we can become better friends. But that's where I'm saying, if they took the time to reflect upon themselves, they would realize, hey, there are plenty of times I'm the one reaching out to them to hang out, you know? If I didn't like you, I wouldn't be doing that. I can't say that for everyone, but I'm just a very forward person. So if I'm reaching out to you, I definitely like you. You know what I mean? So if they sat down and reflected, they would have realized, hey, Jerome's reaching out to me to be friends. We've had a lot of fun hangouts. We're just not hanging out every day. And so once you come to that realization, or any sort of similar realization like that, you have to decentralize yourself as the problem. Sometimes it's not about you. This person you're trying to become friends with has a whole life, completely whole life, separate to you, okay? And that is okay. You're not going to be friends with every single person. More importantly, you're not going to be best friends with every single person. There's going to be so many other people in your life that you're going to be like, wow, they're so cool. And maybe you guys actually would be amazing friends together, but maybe you guys just won't cross paths like that. You maybe just won't get a chance to talk one-on-one to like foster that on. Or maybe sometimes you will, and you'll be fine with being friends, but just not being best friends. And I think it's a really hard thing to accept, because you want to have that conversation. You want to be like, why? Why do you want to be just my friend and not my best friend, right? But I'm not going to get into all that. I could and talk about that for like an hour, but I'm not going to get into all that, because at the end of the day, you're in charge of your own reasoning, right? You're not in charge of thinking for other people. It's really easy to go down those wormholes and be like, why don't they want to be my friend? Why don't they this? But at the end of the day, if you know that you're showing up as a friend the way you want to show up, right? You're doing you, right? You've covered up. You're not being mean to this person. You're doing you. And you've showed this person that you want to be friends with them. That's all you can do at the end of the day. And that's where I kind of say honesty is all you have. And so flipping the perspective, right? Flipping the perspective as the person who is trying to pull away from the friendship, right? I think, and one thing that I've really struggled with, because it's a, no way to put it, it's a shitty feeling. It's a shitty feeling. It's guilt. Because for me in that situation with this friend, right, I just felt guilty, frankly speaking, because it kind of felt that I was stringing them along kind of thing, right? Like I would say, oh, hey, want to hang out, want to do this, but I wouldn't invite them to like, just like my closest friends kind of thing, right? And I could tell that they wanted to do that. I could tell that they wanted to be in my inner circle, but I wasn't doing that. And so you feel kind of guilty, right? Because you're like, do I stay friends with this person? And do I like force it and just accept it that now they're my best friend, but like you don't even click that much? Or do you go and tell them like, hey, I really want to be friends with you, but that doesn't mean we're going to be best friends? It's a very hard conversation to have. Very, very, very hard conversation to have. Even more so, I'll say, let me flip the situations a little bit. Even more so when you have a friend who doesn't treat you that nicely, to be completely honest. When you have a friend who doesn't treat you that nicely, sometimes they just don't respect you. They've pushed your boundaries numerous times over and over and over again. But they're still trying to be friends with you. And trust me, that's a very common situation to be in. Like, very common situation. That's a very tricky bind. Most of the time what's happening is there's a person who's maybe they're going through a tough time. Maybe they don't have that many other friends, but they haven't like decided what kind of friend they want to be, or maybe they're just not that good of a friend to you. It's a bit of a tricky situation, right? Because you've had the time to have a whole friendship with them, right? Maybe you guys started off amazingly. You guys were like best friends forever. But then as you guys grew older and older, they just started treating you not nicely, right? They're just like, hey, this person just kind of doesn't respect me. Or maybe you just have a weird feeling about the relationship. It just doesn't feel the same way it used to, right? Considering you've put in effort and all that stuff, right? That's really hard. So I'd say the two hardest situations is when you've had a good history, but now it's kind of Willy Wonka. Or two, when you can tell they want to be friends with you and they're coming with good intentions and they're a good friend, but you know you don't click with them as much as they think they click with you. It's really guilty. It's a guilty feeling because you're just stuck in between going through the very, very long, slow process that can span months of you guys just slowly becoming less and less friends, planning less and less hangouts, less and less laughs during the hangout. Or you can go up to them and be like, hey, I'm not sure I want to be your friend at all, or even in the best friend context. It's very hard to do. You need to be very firm with your boundaries. You need to be like, okay, I'm going to be friends with this person in this situation, but not in this situation. I'm going to be friends with this person if I see them at this place, but I'm not going to invite them to things I do this place, right? It's a very tricky situation to be in. But at the end of the day, honesty is all you have. Because I think of it this way, right? If you can go to a person and you can calmly communicate your thoughts to them, right? I stand by this in pretty much every single situation. If you can calmly and politely communicate your genuine thoughts to another human being, it should never ruin a genuine connection. Like, point blank, period. You know what I mean? Like, there's no exceptions to that. And sometimes if you want to go have a conversation with someone and be like, hey, I don't really want to be friends with you anymore, or hey, I don't want to be as close friends with you as maybe we used to be or you want us to be, that person should, value the care and love and emotions that you're taking to take time apart and communicate your thoughts to them, right? Because it's good for everybody. One, you get to say what you want. Two, they don't get left wandering and like confused, right? If that person decides to lash out at you or call your emotions stupid or whatever, frankly speaking, that's not a person you want to be friends with. Now, it can get even more tricky because maybe this person just isn't in a good spot right now. Maybe they just went through like a breakup, and they're kind of just lashing out emotions. It's really tricky. And so this is just for you. I can't really give advice on it, to be honest. You just have to sit down and be like, hey, am I going to wait for this person to get to a better position to have this conversation with them and tell them, hey, I'm not going to be the person for you that you want me to be? Or is this person just genuinely being mean to me right now? And that's it. If you can communicate your emotions calmly and politely to someone, genuine emotions, right? And they get very upset at you, they belittle you, whatever, that's not a person you want to invest your energy in and time in as friends. And that's okay. However, if they can sit there and have a genuine conversation with you, maybe it won't be perfect. Maybe they'll be yelling in the middle. That's okay. But if you can sit down and have a genuine conversation with one another, I think that's the most beautiful thing ever. And sometimes that can end with you guys just not being friends in the end, but at least there's just kind of some closure to it. Or it could end with maybe this person told you, you know what, hey, I'm actually going through a really rough time right now. And maybe it allowed you to see them in a new light and you're going to be closer friends. But hey, life isn't always a Cinderella story. You know, sometimes you guys are just not going to be friends anymore, or you're just not going to be as close. So I think this was a hard lesson that I learned this year, I guess, because I was just meeting a ton of people all the time. And I think I've had friendships in my life where I'm honestly not very proud with how I ended them, to be completely honest. I've had friendships where I told the person, hey, I'm going to be friends with you for a very, very long time. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be that person, right? And I didn't deliver. I didn't deliver like a month or two later. I didn't deliver like maybe I had this one friendship, which I think to this day, I kind of regret how I ended it. And to be honest, I would like to open that floor back up soon one day, reach out. To be honest, I'm just scared to do it. But hey, honesty is all I have. And I just want to see where that conversation can take me, just to either get some closure with this other person. Maybe if they're still going to be upset with me, but I just communicate my genuine feelings. That's all I can do, kind of thing. Or maybe I'll open up this friendship with this person. So yeah, at the end of the day, honesty is all you have. Maybe in the moment, people can be mad at you for saying honest things, but I don't think anyone can ever look back and genuinely be mad at someone for calmly and politely saying their genuine feelings. They might be frustrated with it at first, but they'll look back and they'll say, you know what? Yeah, they respected me enough to take the time out of their day to communicate this to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah. One thing that I will say, if you're ever trying to rekindle those kind of friendships, is this year I have become a huge fan of friends on the side. You have your friend group, you have people you hang out with, maybe you have your friend group and your social circle, I guess, whatever your situation is. But it's really nice having a friend on the side, whether that means you guys are hanging out once a week, or maybe you're hanging out once a year, you know? I have this one really good buddy. I was friends with him in high school, really close. We were in the same friend group. I was close with him in high school, but I think I could have gotten even closer, to be completely honest. I was just still like figuring out things. But he went to university abroad, and when he was going, one of the things I was thinking about before I went to university is I was thinking about, wow, I'm really scattering away from all these people, especially my high school friend group, where I was like, wow, I really love these people. It's amazing. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a little preemptive. How am I going to kind of jump the gun? I can see that we're all going to scatter. How can I be forward about this? So one, I told all my high school guys that like, hey, I love you guys. It's been so awesome going to high school with you, right? And then I also reached out to them, and I was like, I really hope we stay friends. I hope you know that. I know it's pretty likely that our group chat's going to like die down in a bit, which it did actually have some spurs throughout the week. Throughout the year. But I told this one friend, right, who was going to school abroad, I called him. I think this may have been like February or something. And it was like midnight for me, but it was like 5 or something. I don't know. It was like dead in the middle of the night for him, right? Time difference. And I told him, hey man, I just want to let you know, I really value you as a friend. I look up to you a lot. I think the things you're doing are incredible. And I know like our friendship's going to be very off and on because we're going to school in different continents and we have different lives, time zones, all this jazz. But hey, I really value you as a friend, and I wanted to let you know that I really want to keep being friends with you. This is the type of guy that like I want to be like 26 in maybe like New York City or something, running a marathon with this kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like he inspires me to grow every day, and that's just one of the best feelings ever. So I encourage you to have one-off friendships, just a friendship that's not a part of a group, because sometimes groups can get a little messy. Those are really awesome. And then another thing, I'm just thinking, because I think, yes, the most important question you have to ask yourself in deciding, I listed like 3 different scenarios, right? Where both people want to get back together. One person wants to get together, the other person doesn't, and you're the person who wants to leave and the other person wants to stay, right? I don't know if that makes sense. But as you're going through your head, right, and you're deciding what to do, if it's worth your energy or not, you just need to ask yourself, does this person cost you energy, or do they like give you energy? Do they charge your battery, right? And it's not to be transactional, you know? I have friends who I can just go on a simple walk with and they will make me feel like I'm bursting with energy and I'm like skydiving, right? They can make me, you know? But I have other friends. I definitely wouldn't say any of my close friends because I'm quite like particular who I'm friends with, but I have friends that I'll see like here and there, I guess, like if I'm out, and sometimes it costs a little bit of energy. And I'd say for new friends, I guess all new friends cost a little bit of energy because you guys are figuring it out. But if this is a person who you've been friends with for a decent amount of time, but when you go hang out with them, you have to like put up a mask and you have to really, you leave your hangout just emotionally drained. I think it's really time for you to consider if you want to stay in that friendship or not. Because friendships are just beautiful. They are most likely going to outlast everything. Most of the time they outlast everything. They outlast romantic relationships. They outlast your jobs, your school, your different personality phases. They are just beautiful. They're just beautiful. So take the time to invest in them. Get up to some really fun stuff. Shoot a friend a text that you haven't talked to in a while. Ooh, one thing I wanted to say is friend crushes. Invest in your friend crushes this summer. They can give you incredible experiences and it's so refreshing. First of all, no matter how good your friends are, it's so refreshing to hang out with new people. You get fresh perspectives. You get to learn cool things because there's a lot of people who I've done a lot of growing myself this summer. And now that I'm back in my home city, Toronto, I'm like, wow, I knew you before, but I like the way I've grown this year. I like the way you've grown. We should be friends. Or if people are already like people I've met for the first time, mutuals, whatever. And I've been doing my best to reach out and be like, hey, I think you're awesome. Let's hang out more this summer. Shoot that text, say it in person because it will give you so many beautiful and refreshing experiences all summer long. Yeah. Besides that, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I will say the channel has been doing so well this summer ever since I've started posting a lot more consistently and posting 2 clips every week. Some people, I don't know who, because I'm not going to bother to track all that. But I noticed like as I post more, some people are like, all right, I don't want this guy all over my feed, so they're unfollowing me. But that's okay. I've been meeting so many people through social media. Well, I guess not meeting, but just like getting closer with, I would say. And on YouTube, I get about like 30 to 40 views per video. And Spotify, I get about 60 to 70, same exact video though. So that means I'm getting around 100 people tuning into my podcast every single week, which is just amazing. I feel incredibly lucky and honorable to captivate people every single week, 100 people. That's a lot of people to fit into one room. And I'm so happy too that people are just being able to enjoy the clips I post. Each clip across the platforms that I post them across is getting anywhere in between, I'd say the low end of like 5,000 to high end of like 10,000 views. And it's not that I obsess over views. It's just that I'm so happy that I can share something I enjoy and stuff I enjoy talking about with other people and make them feel some sort of way. That's the coolest thing ever, is to make someone feel. Very underrated. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Go make some awesome friends. Don't stop investing in the ones you don't want to be friends with. And yeah, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.